This is a story about choosing your adventure. We love adventure, and we look for adventure naturally, um, and we choose the risk that we take and the adventure that we seek. Some people like to do one thing, some like to do another. My Uncle Mark was a very interesting person. I always enjoyed Uncle Mark. He was interesting. He had a lot of interests. He was interested in a lot of things. Um, if you've eaten Diefenbach potato chips, that's he was the founder of that company. Uncle Mark was one of those people in southeastern Pennsylvania that almost spoke Pennsylvania Dutch even when he was speaking English. So when my children were young and we would be where Uncle Mark was if he was there, and he loved to tell stories and talk, and I would get my children to come and from wherever they were and just listen to him because he was he was so interesting. And one time when we were there, as when my children were younger, and he was talking about having planted buckwheat, and because he wanted to learn about buckwheat, and so he planted some buckwheat, and then he was saying how when the buckwheat got its heads on, he went out in the field and he looked at his buckwheat, and he the field was full of bees, and the bees were there at the buckwheat, and he was talking about it, and he was saying, and this was bees buzzing all over the place. And so that became one of our expressions for when things were really busy or chaotic. We'd say, oh, this is bees buzzing all over the place. And Mark had a lot of interests. As I said, he was interested in a lot of things. And during the time we were in Haiti, we were back in Pennsylvania, and I went to visit Uncle Mark. I came into his shop, and he was working in his shop, and I was surprised because Uncle Mark was building his own airplane. He had got a kit, and he had he was in the process of building his own airplane. It was getting close to being finished when I went to visit him. I was saying to him, "Oh, Mark, like I know a little bit about airplanes, and airplanes are complex pieces of equipment, machinery, and like you know, you don't know anything about airplanes. Like building your own airplane, isn't that risky?" And he's like, "No, no, I know what I'm doing." And I was like, "But you don't know anything about airplanes." He's like, "Well, I don't know anything about airplanes, but I can read instructions, and I got the instructions, and I can follow the instructions." Okay, well, I guess that'll work by saying, "How do you know you don't have something hooked up backwards and and you get up there and you want to go up and you're going to go down instead or something?" And he's like, "Ah, no problem. I can read the instructions. I know what I'm doing." So I was like, "Okay." And we talked about Haiti, and he had some questions about Haiti. Then he was saying, "Ah, well, you live in Haiti. Do they have witch doctors there?" I think, well, yeah, there are some witch doctors in the community where we live. And, well, what about voodoo people? Are there voodoo people around you there? Well, yes, there are some people that follow the voodoo religion around us. And you say, oh, aren't you scared of them? No, I'm not really scared of them. They don't bother us. And I'm not really scared of witch doctors or people that practice voodoo. That doesn't really scare me. And so we talked a little more. And then Uncle Mark said, well, I'll tell you one thing. I'd much rather fight. Well, I was asking him, who's going to be the first person to go up in this airplane? Who's going to be on the first flight? He said, well, I guess that would be me. And I said, well, I don't think you'd catch me up in that airplane. And he said, well, I'll tell you one thing. I'd much rather fly in this airplane than live next to those voodoo guys down there. So I guess we each choose our own adventure. We each choose our own risks. And I chose to live in Haiti, and you choose your risks. And so, whatever your risk is, live a life of adventure. Don't be afraid to take risks and choose the adventure that you want to live.